All right, it is the evening weather briefing for Wednesday, the 24th of September, and this is the evening edition. I am Josh Brown. I hope that you all had a great Wednesday, and yet the rain chances today have been not quite as active than it has been over the last few days. But we have more wet weather on the way in an increasing way as we head into the day on Thursday, continuing on as we head towards in just a moment. But let's dry out there. We did had a few showers in Polk County, just around the say Polk City Road 5:59. So it looks like this little spot's getting just a quick downpour or anything like that to worry about at this point. Let me go. Or it could be heading to next, and it seems it's moving. We'll say at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. So if this holds together, shower here may move in towards Highway 570 pretty shortly. Maybe as far west you go towards the heads up, just a heads up for you folks that you may see a quick shower there as well. Within the next, we'll say 5 or 10 minutes. Got a couple showers over here also, just around the Eden Park area, down towards 570 near Lake Hancock, 98 and 540. And also more the same thing over here towards Crystal Lake and the Lakeland communities. But again, other than that, most of the area, coverage area that is just looking quiet as a mouse. So now let's go ahead and check out the tropics this evening because it's still getting pretty busy out there. Here we are as we're still in the peak of hurricane season. Go ahead and turn off the radar and switch to satellite. Alrighty. And just within earlier this evening, we have now a new named storm out of the Atlantic, and this is known as Tropical Storm Humberto or Humberto. I think that's how meteorologists are pronouncing it. And it looks like this storm is producing winds at about 40 miles an hour with gusts up to 50, and it's moving due quickly to the west northwest at about 15 miles an hour. And is in as far as the millibar pressure low goes, it is around about 1,008, as you can tell. And it looks like it will stay as a tropical storm within the next couple of days or so. So it won't be until as we get into, we'll say, at around Saturday that the storm could upgrade into a Cat 1 hurricane or so, and then possibly up to a Cat 2, we'll say, by Sunday and Monday as it moves a little bit to the northwest into the western side of the Atlantic region. But the good news is, as far as I'm seeing, as far as the models go, this will not be a issue for the east coast of the United States, but rip currents and rough surf could be a possibility for the eastern islands of the Carolina coastline and perhaps as far north to go towards the mid-Atlantic regions. So that's something we'll be monitoring. And then, of course, we also have Gabriel now weakening into a Category 2 storm as it continues to move farther east into the North Atlantic Ocean. And it get winds right now estimating here at about 100 miles an hour, with as it moves yet very fast at about 30 miles per hour or close to that, with the millibar pressure low at 970. But since the storm is moving into the North Atlantic cooler waters, it will continue to weaken to a Cat 1, we'll say, by the next day or so, and it will stay that way through at least by the next few days. And then by next week, it will start to downgrade back into a tropical storm as it moves closer to the coastline of near portions of Europe, which will be known as the tropical depression by then we see these blue circles. Okay, and we also have still this tropical wave still brewing out in the Caribbean, and this is known as Invest 94L. And it seems that showers and thunderstorms have become better organized since yesterday in association with a tropical wave. Again, that's an Invest 94 center near Puerto Rico. This wave is expected to move west northwestward at about 10 to 15 miles an hour, so moving a little bit on the quick side. And it's still spreading heavy rainfall and gusty winds across Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, through which will continue not just for tonight, but also heading into the early portion of Thursday. and the system is expected to move, or is expected to slow down. Excuse me, and turn northwestward when it reaches the southwest Atlantic. And it's still likely a tropical depression could form when the disturbance is in the vicinity of the Bahamas late this week. That'll be either tomorrow or Friday. And it seems that Turks in the Caicos Islands and the Bahamas should monitor the progress of the system closely. And so far, the Hurricane Center has given about an 80% chance of some formation within the next 5 to 7 days. And since that both Invest 94 and Humberto is closer together, it looks like it could interact within 870 miles as far as those two systems go, which is what we call this the Fujiwara effect. And I actually did post about that on Facebook of the explanation. So check that out if you haven't. And the same thing with Humberto. It looks like Invest 94 will not be an issue for Florida or for the east coast of the United States. Again, that's due to a approaching cold front moving in from the west to east that will help keep the tropics to steer uh, basically to a right direction, a north and east direction you can call it. But just understand that if you live along the east coast of Florida or the east coast of the United States here, like the beach areas, for example, again, rip currents and rough surfing will be a big concern. So if you're thinking about heading to the beach, either heading into the weekend or so, just be cautious about it, okay? And so far, the tropics elsewhere across the eastern side of the Atlantic looks to be fairly quiet right now, with no formations expected within the next 5 to 7 days. And the same goes for the Gulf and for the west side of the Caribbean. Same thing. Tropics are quiet. But like I said before, we are still in the peak of hurricane season, and that continues as we head towards at least through about the middle of October, because by then that's when the tropics should be winding down into a less active mode. But the official ending of the season won't be until November 30th. So we still got a little bit of some long ways to go for sure. So that's the latest on the tropics. Let's go ahead and switch back to the radar site and turn off the tropical weather icons, you can call it. Let me turn off cone, the tropical cone for Humberto 2. And again, as we go back into closer to home, again, here's a last look at the radar. And again, most of the area is dry, but again, there's a couple of showers down here around Lakeland and surrounding locations, but that should be winding down pretty soon. And I got a few showers up here too for the extreme northeastern corner of Marion County up towards Putnam, all the way up into we'll say close to Jacksonville. And again, they should continue for a little bit longer, but yeah, by midnight that should be fading out. All right. So let's talk temperatures this evening. And yet, it's looking still pretty warm out there to close out our Wednesday. We have numbers sitting anywhere from the low to mid 80s across both central and southern Florida, with temperatures mostly hovering in the mid to upper 80s for the panhandle side of the state, up into southeastern sections of Alabama, on into Georgia. And as you can see here, temperatures over towards the west side of Alabama and Mississippi are starting to drop slowly but surely ahead of an approaching front into the 70s and lower 80s, as you can see. And then you got feels like temperatures happening in the upper 80s to low 90s out there across the area. And that goes again for the same story up into South Georgia and southeastern Alabama. So, like I said, a little warm out there, but at least I don't see any triple digit numbers as we're closing out again our day. All right. So, let's go ahead and check out the latest HERM model as we head into the next couple of days, or I should say in the next 18 hours rather. And before we get to that, too, if you're just coming on into this live broadcast, again, I don't mind if you could share this with your friends, families, followers, etc. And you know my motto, and that is sharing is caring. And before we get to also the rest of our update, I'm going to go ahead and share this live broadcast to a few other group pages. So just give me just a few more minutes and we'll move on. Hmm. All right. Sorry about that again, folks. All right, so let's check the temperatures as we head into the overnight and on into the first half of your day on Thursday. And it looks like we'll see low temperatures yet beginning just as usual, like we see every summer morning, with more in the way of mid to upper 70s across both central and South Florida, with low temperatures slightly cooler than it is here. That's up in the Panhandle in the Valley, and it shows anywhere from the low to mid 70s, is what you can see here. Also on the latest HER model. And as we approach the noon hour, we do expect temperatures to heat things up a little bit in the mid 80s across the state, with upper 80s to low 90s around the Panhandle, up into southeast Georgia, and all the way up into portions of South Carolina. And it looks like with that approaching front moving in by tomorrow, that will allow temperatures to stay in the 70s and lower 80s around lunchtime as well for both states of Mississippi, Alabama, and we'll say parts of Georgia as far as you go towards the Atlanta area. But switching gears to the NAM as we head into the next few days. And yet we'll see another band of some showers and thunderstorms heading into the day on Thursday. And just like probably today, not quite as higher, but we'll call for just about a 40, if not to a 50% coverage of some of that spotty hit or miss activity. Looks like better chances are going to stay mostly farther south of here by 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, especially around near Boca Raton to Jupiter, Fort Lauderdale, and the Miami areas. And some of that rain could be heavy at times too, if that's the case. And with that system in the front moving in from the west to east, that could bring also some spotty scattered shower activity from Montgomery, Alabama, down towards Pensacola, and then some of that also a little bit eastward towards central and south Georgia from Atlanta down into the Macon area. And any showers and thunderstorms that are out left here by tomorrow night should be winding down by midnight. Still got another band of showers and thunderstorms that'll start to redevelop over here towards the southern half of Alabama and for the northwest side of the Panhandle by 5 in the morning on Friday. And then moving off towards the east a bit towards, we'll say, near Tallahassee or a little west of there to Panama City, Destin, up into southwestern Georgia by mid morning then. But for here in our area, looking pretty quiet to start off with. And then it looks like some of that line of showers and thunderstorms will start to fall apart to some lighter showers before moving in towards Jacksonville and into Savannah here by 3 and 4 in the afternoon. And it appears we'll see some storms develop here ahead of that line along I-4 and eastward towards the coast of Brevard and Volusia counties here by 4 in the afternoon too. And then any storms that are out there left again by tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Friday night will start to diminish between 7 or 8, just in time for your Friday night plans and perhaps for high school football. And as the trend ends at about 2 in the morning on Saturday, it shows most of our area dry, with most of those spotty or thunderstorms staying offshore along the Gulf Coast side, which is right about here. So that's the latest. And as far as rain totals go for the next few days, it shows mostly at about a half to an inch or so for parts of our area, especially covering Orange County, surrounding other counties in central Florida, with about 2 to 3, perhaps if not up to 4 inches down in deep southern Florida, basically from between Naples into Fort Lauderdale and the Miami-Dade County areas. And with the system also bringing some more bands of rain heading into the next several hours from Mississippi off towards the east near Georgia, shows totals ranging from about a half to about 1 to 2 inches in some spotty areas, especially near Atlanta to the Jackson, Mississippi area, and then 2 to 3 inches for the next few days in the Panhandle from Pensacola off towards the east near Destin to perhaps as far as Panama City Beach, as so to speak. All right. So let's check temperatures heading into the next few days. We'll fast forward into your Thursday afternoon, and we'll see yet numbers jumping up in the average pattern in the upper 80s and low 90s, so covering most of Florida up into near Interstate 95 from Savannah up into Charleston. But as the front moves in over towards the valley, that's going to start to, again, drop temperatures a little bit cooler in the 70s and lower 80s. And that affects areas like Atlanta, Birmingham, Montgomery, Pensacola, and as far west you go towards Louisiana. And then by about 9 or 10 o'clock or so tomorrow night, we'll see temperatures yet looking to stay pretty warm, but a little bit on the mild, a little bit on the cool side, but mild. That's what I meant to say. Where you have 70s and lower 80s, and then you got mid 70s remaining up in the Mississippi Valley, yet by 10 p.m. tomorrow evening. And then overnight, late Thursday on into early Friday shows yet another very warm start with low temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. But as the front makes its way closer into the valley, that will start to knock down temperatures in the 60s and low 70s. A little bit of a taste of fall-like weather to start off your Friday there, especially for Alabama and off towards the far west you go, towards portions of Mississippi and Louisiana. And then we'll see, yeah, temperatures heating up just around average in the 80s to low 90s across the state, up towards the coast of South Carolina. And as you can see, as the front, again, continues to shift off more eastward as far as Georgia, that will, again, keep temperatures in a fall-like way in the 70s and lower 80s. So looking good there. If you're looking for some refreshing conditions, you can say. And then as we make our way into the 2 o'clock hour on your Saturday morning, yet another warm night could be ahead with potential lows remaining in the 70s and lower 80s. And then you got temperatures by 2 also hanging in the 60s and low 70s, so a little tad cool in the Panhandle side of the state and the Mississippi Valley. So let's check the GFS models as we head into the next few weeks. Let's check out the lows for daybreak on Saturday first. And it appears that low temperatures up around Alabama and off towards the west you go towards central and south Mississippi indicate some upper 50s and 60s to begin with. And there could be some 60s as well for the northwest side of Florida too to begin the weekend. But for here, not much, as there's no change to the pattern. So it seems we'll keep low temperatures, again, hanging in the mid to upper 70s. And some low 80s for some spotty areas too to start off with as Saturday morning progresses. But yet the rain chances do increase by Saturday as we'll bump up to around 50 to a 60% coverage as the system moves in from the west to east. So if you do have some plans outdoors on Saturday, just have the rain gear handy with you, but it's not going to be an all-day washout, so just understand that. And that higher rain chances will be extending up into Georgia on into the coastline of South Carolina. But behind that, for Alabama and westward, behind not just behind the system, but the front, that's going to keep things pretty quiet as the final weekend of the month kicks in. And we'll keep, temperatures still hovering in the 80s and low 90s for I-4 in south, and then some 70s for the northern side of the state, up into yet near Savannah in the Charleston, Myrtle Beach areas of South Carolina. And it appears that temperatures up here will be a little warm, but not too bad in the low to mid 80s around the Mississippi Valley for Birmingham, Montgomery, Jackson, as you know. And yet, there could be some more rain on the way heading into the day on Sunday, but it'll start to decrease the coverage a little bit. We'll say at 50% before it moves offshore as far as the system goes. And yet, behind the system and still behind the front, things will be turning out to be fairly quiet for the panhandle side of Florida in the Mississippi Valley region. And yet, we're going to keep temperatures still remaining the same, which is upper 80s and into the lower 90s. And it seems that numbers will start to increase a little bit for the valley as it shows a return of mid to upper 80s for Atlanta to Birmingham, Montgomery, Jackson, and maybe some lower 90s for the southern part of Georgia. But if we could check the low temperatures by early Sunday morning, it shows yet another cool start to the day with upper 50s to low to mid 60s yet in the Mississippi Valley. But so far, no changes to lows. This will remain yet in the low to mid 70s for here in central Florida, and then upper 70s and low 80s down south. You go into areas like Port St. Lucie down into the Miami-Dade County areas. So moving into the day on Monday, and yet it shows another band of showers and thunderstorms continuing to remain here for portions of the state, especially over towards the eastern side, as we'll keep the rain coverage there at about 60% or so. And there is the system over here. Notice if S94 that will start to shift up to the north near the Bahamas region. It should form into a tropical depression or a storm pretty soon by then. But it looks like the good news is this will be staying away from where we live. But again, rip currents and rough surfing could be a big concern, not just for the weekend, but heading into the beginning of next week. So just a heads up again, if you're heading to the beach then. And yet we're going to keep temperatures yet still running average in the 80s and into the lower 90s. And it looks like the low 90s and upper 80s could be making a comeback for the Interstate 10 corridor, and north you go towards Mississippi and the lower portions of Alabama. Also heading into Monday after a brief cool down, you can call it, with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s up in Georgia. But as I guess the moisture begins to increase ahead of the tropical system for portions of South Carolina, that will start to bring down temperatures a bit in the 70s and into the lower 80s from Myrtle Beach down towards Charleston. But yet, like I said before, the tropical system should be staying away offshore, not just from here in Florida, but also for the east coast of the United States, as the coming days, such as next week, makes a approach. Again, thanks to that approaching front moving in from west to east. All right, now this is Tuesday, the last day of September, and it shows the rain chances dropping at about 20 to 30% along the coastline of Jacksonville down south into Brevard counties. But yet, the tropical system will again push up just a bit north, but should be taking a bit of a right turn, steer to the northeast, again staying away from the Carolinas region. And it looks like there might be some inland showers, probably related to that system. That may start to move in towards the eastern side of Alabama onto Georgia, and yet, of course, South Carolina, we'll say at about 40 to 50%. And yet, we're going to continue to see temperatures yet stay the same. We have upper 80s and into the lower 90s across the state, up into portions of Mississippi and Alabama. And it looks like temperatures should start to cool things down in the low to mid 80s for Georgia, and then upper 70s from Augusta on towards the Myrtle Beach areas. As that moisture starts to increase again, bringing some increasing chances for scattered showers for that part of the area. Again, that's for parts of Georgia and South Carolina. But if we need some dry weather on Tuesday, then I think that might be the best day to get out and enjoy as you can. If uh, if you have some. All right, now this is Wednesday of next week, the first day of October, and it shows yet the coastal shower coverage continues for the east coast of the state. There might be a couple of showers in our inland locations, but other than that, the rain chances stay slow at about 30%, and looks like some of that moisture could start to increase some scattered showers too for portions at this time. Mississippi and Alabama at about 40 to a 50% chance, if that's right. And yet we're going to continue to see temperatures yet still looking average in the 80s and low 90s for now. and that extends yet up into the extreme southwest part of Georgia, on into portions of Mississippi and Alabama. And yet the 70s and lower 80s continues for central into East Georgia and South Carolina. So a little bit of a cooling trend there as the first day of the new month approaches. And then this is Thursday of next week, October 2nd, and it shows a little bit of moisture moving in back into parts of our state that could start to increase those chances for scattered showers and maybe a couple of thunderstorms for the northern and east side of the state. And that could also increase the moisture too for portions of Alabama and Mississippi, bringing the same thing. And yet for the Panhandle, and so far, we're talking still temperatures staying the same, yet average in the 80s and into the lower 90s, covering both central and south Florida, with temperatures starting to yet feel a little bit more like fall as numbers will start dropping in the 70s and mid 80s for Interstate 10 and north. And now we'll see or actually, I do see an approaching front that may start to move in by then between next Thursday and Friday. Because if you look at the low temperatures for the morning of the third, it shows numbers dropping as cool as the 50s and 60s for Interstate 10 and north, up around portions of Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. And yet we could see some 60s for lows too for the Panhandle side of Florida. But for us, still a little warm in the low to mid 70s here, as you can see. But yet, more rain could be on the horizon to end next week, with the chances yet increasing as high as 60 to a 70% coverage for Interstate 95 between Savannah down to, we'll say, as far as the Miami areas, as a little bit of a maker starts to develop here near the Atlantic. But up here towards the Mississippi Valley and for the northwest side of Florida, things should be turning out to be mostly quiet as dry air starts to move in with that same front. And with that, we're talking about temperatures up north, hovering in the upper 70s and into the lower 80s. So looking pretty nice there to end next week, with temperatures hovering in the mid 80s for the panhandle side of the state of Florida. But with the rain chances yet increasing for parts of the state, that's going to keep temperatures a little bit on the low side in the not in the 60s, but in the low to mid 70s rather, especially from Orange County and north towards St. John's and Putnam counties, with numbers still staying average here south in the 80s and into the lower 90s. And yet, checking out the low temperatures for the first half of next Saturday, the 4th, shows yet another cool start to the day in the valley. We have some 50s and low 60s remaining for Interstate 20 and south. Yet, not much change for Central Florida's low temperatures that continues to stay yet on the warm side, and that's where you have yet another round of low to mid 70s. But yet, more wet weather continues to be the case heading into the first Saturday of the month as moisture again continues to really build up from the Atlantic. And some of the rain could be heavy at times, especially around Orange County up towards Flagler, where it shows indications of around 4 to 6 inches in one day. So that is something we'll watch very closely. But as you know, it's still way too soon to tell at this point if that's going to happen. So that can easily change as we get closer to that time frame. It shows yet the Mississippi Valley and the Panhandle side of Florida staying yet fairly quiet as we approach that same day. And yet, with all this rain moving in, that's going to help temperatures yet keep a little bit on the cool side. It's a little taste of fall where you have some 70s and lower 80s remaining. And that could be the same case, too, here for the Mississippi Valley and for the northwest side of the state. So, yep, if you need some fall-like conditions, then I think not this weekend, but the one after it could be the best bet. All right, now heading into the land of voodoo country, this takes you into Sunday, October 5th, and it shows yet more and more moisture continues to increase the rain here for the state. And still, the Mississippi Valley tends to stay fairly quiet as that day approaches. But if you look right down here towards Cuba, it seems that there might be some signs of tropical mischief trying to form in that general direction. So that is something we could also watch too, but yet it's just too soon to know at this point if that's going to exactly happen. So that can always change. And it does show it does want to show something try to increase here as far as a tropical storm or hurricane goes as we head towards between the 5th and the 6th as it makes its way towards the Keys into Miami Dade County areas and then becoming more stronger offshore. after pulling out of the southern part of the state. But yet, this is the long range model run, so this is not a forecast because that again could bring some adjustments once we get closer to between the 5th and the 7th. So I'll keep you guys posted as far as the models go. But even we don't see impacts as far as the center of the system goes here for Central Florida. That doesn't mean we're going to see like the impacts. We may still see some rain as the big concern here for us. But if you go right down here into Southern Florida, from Jupiter down towards the Keys areas, it shows rainfall estimates picking up between anywhere from about 6 to 10 inches, and that could lead into some flooding concerns if this is right here. So we'll see again how that may turn out. And of course, checking out the high temperatures on the 6th, it shows yet numbers remaining in the 70s and lower 80s here for the state, and the same thing also for the Mississippi Valley. And yet, as that system pulls away from South Florida, as far as the center of the storm goes towards the Atlantic, this means they will still see yet more rain. As the only concern as the only concern I know here for that particular day. And if we do see more rain, it seems the rain chances that day stays mostly high at about 60 to a 70% coverage, and some of that also could bring some wet weather from the moisture related to that system up here into Atlanta, or not Atlanta, Alabama, off towards the east, towards Atlanta, and towards the coastline of South Carolina. And yet, we're going to keep temperatures for right now in the 70s and into the low, if not mid 80s here for our area. And it looks like temperatures may start to drop in the 60s as the system gets closer to bring mostly just rain related to it for southeastern Georgia and along the coastline of South Carolina. So we'll see again how that goes. And then you also have temperatures yet hanging in the upper 70s and lower 80s up in the Mississippi Valley region, which is right about here where my arrow is circling, if this is correct. And yet, as the system continues to really push way offshore, this is on Wednesday, October 8th, and it shows most of our area is turning out to be fairly quiet, still drying out, uh, not just for here in Florida, but also for the Mississippi Valley region. There might be still some leftover coastal showers, though, for the east coast of the state from, we'll say, St. Johns County down south towards the Keys region, we'll say at 30%. But other than that, things, again, will be on the dry side as that dry air pushes into our direction. And yet, the fall-like conditions will be remaining with temperatures yet hovering in the low to mid 80s across the southeast, including here in central Florida. And it looks like we'll see low temperatures yet hovering in the 50s and 60s up north across the panhandle up into portions of Alabama and Georgia. While for us, we'll see temperatures starting off slightly cool in the upper 60s and low 70s, at least for now. And then the same thing, of course, for the Mississippi Valley heading into the morning of the 9th, which is on a Thursday. And then you have lows in the 60s to around or close to 70 right here in our market. But yet, the dry pattern will be with us for the southeast if the trend is right heading into the second half of Thursday, October 9th. There might be a few showers farther south towards Fort Lauderdale and Miami, but the chances again stays fairly low. But it looks like some of that warm air will start to kick back into portions of the region, and if so, that may start to increase numbers in the upper 80s and low 90s up here towards Interstate 10 from Pensacola. Off towards the east, you go towards Tallahassee, and then you got temperatures warming back in the upper 80s too for the rest of the Mississippi Valley region. For here, we'll see temperatures staying in the low to mid 80s for now here for Central and South Florida. And then last but not least, this is on Friday, October 10th, and yet the dry pattern remains for the southeast with no rain expected, at least for the foreseeable future uh, after the time frame between October 6th and the 8th. And yet it looks like the 90s should be well, let me take that back. I'm sorry. It seems that the 90s will still be making a comeback again for the Interstate 10 corridor from New Orleans over towards Tallahassee up into southwestern Georgia. But for here, we'll see temperatures yet a little bit on the comfy side in the low to mid 80s for both Central and South Florida. But if we do look at the lows from the morning of the 10th, it shows yet another slightly cool start to the day here with some 60s for the state and perhaps some upper 50s and low 60s. Still a little bit more cooler than here, yet up in the valley itself. So that's the latest there on your forecast. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this broadcast on this Wednesday evening. And I hope to have the next update right back here tomorrow night, yet at 8 p.m. And as usual, I'll continue to post more notes or updates on my social media platforms 24/7. In the meantime, please continue to stay safe by taking care of yourselves and each other. And God bless.